Hello, my name is Fransiskus Asisi Aditya Dwiandri. My student number is 240 to 2013 586, and in this video I'm going to talking about my first personal assignment for English professional. Um, and this is for this speaking section, which is to review our first video conference. And here's the presentation. So, what was the first VCon was about? So, in the first VCon, we talk about a few points, which is the general rules and regulation, self-introduction, academic English versus business English, generalization, and restating. So, first one, first important point, which is general rules and regulation. Well, just like any other kind of course, usually at the beginning we're going to talk about the regulation and the rules, and this is also the case for English professional, uh, which is in general, basically it's about the same rules as any other um, course, but something that was I find difference was about the amount of personal assignment. Usually in BINUS Online Learning, the personal assignment was just two, while the team assignment was four. But in here it was the opposite, which is the personal assignment four and the team assignment was only two. And I noticed that they in for this course there's also a difference in the scoring or in the grading system, which is the team assignment was slower than uh, than on the regular course in BINUS Online Learning. There's also some rules and regulation, which is I think it's makes sense because this is a English professional class. So in generally all communication should be in English, and then no social media jargon. I think this is not. It shouldn't be mentioned because uh, why would people? I think people still uh, uh, have to already notice that we are in a course in a college, so we have to present ourselves in the most polite manner as possible. And then it's also use formal English for spoken and written communication, and no plagiarism and no Google Translate without revision. So this is the general rules for this course for English professional. Um, and then we going to self introduction, which is well, it just introduce ourselves. So everyone in class was talking about themselves a bit, about what is their name, and because we are a BINUS Online Learning, co- a which is a college for people who already work, or at least it's supposed to be like that. Um, we're asked about our main job as well. And me, in this case, I'm also still a student in as my main profession in another in another university, which I take computer science as my major. And there's also it was given some tips and trick for introduce ourselves, which is make your point uh, clearly, and then uh, maintain your body language, and at the end, and the last one is makes you unique, make yourself looks like unique, and that way people could remember you, I think. And then we're going to see the difference between academic English and business English. um, which is turns out I find it different because at first I thought, academic and business both was a formal term, so we should put it in a formal English. But turns out there are some difference between academic English and business English. For example, like uh, academic English was basically use terms like people who are still learning, so i they mostly need some more education. While in business English, it was more professionally. It is used for meetings, for sending emails, for basically uh, to communicate with strangers that we're going to have a business to. And then generalization. Generalization, as its name implied, it's try to make to generalize something. So basically, it's to take a conclusion in from something, try to make a statement that could become a conclusion when something from a group or from a discussion. Usually, generalization cannot touch the detailed topic because, well, it's usually try to be as short as possible. But generalization, when we make a good generalization, then I think we can properly save time by saying what was the point on a discussion or what a group of people were talking about. Uh, it's also mentioned about what was how to make a generalization, which is like use logic and reasoning. Be careful to make sure your generalization is true, proven with several example, and then all of them. And at the last important point is we were talking about restating, which is my first video is about in listening section. It's basically to say it again in our words what we already heard or what we already read, but do it in our way. How to say it in our way, basically. And that's actually all of the important point. So, what was my plan after attending my first recon? Well, I was thinking about. Turns out there are many things that I haven't learned about in English, and as it turns out, this whole time I was not really familiar with professional English. I thought that, and I realized it after attending this first VCon. There are some things that I find new. I discovered something new in this first VCon. So my plan is basically try to improve my English, but in this case, professionally, so I could be more fitting at later date if I have to sending email to strangers that I'm going to have a business on. I think it will be needed. I think that's the whole my plan that I got from attending my first video conference. So yeah, that's the end of it. That's the end of my presentation of review for the first video conference. Thank you for watching, and see you later on another opportunity. Thank you.